I'm Kert Gartner. I make indie game trailers. That's not exactly what I'm going to talk about today, though. I'm going to tell kind of a silly little story about how I became a character in a video game. And in order to tell this story properly, I have to take you way, way back in time. Use the internet Wayback Machine here, and we're going to look at the late 90s and early 2000s internet. And this is the internet that I grew up with. I loved things like eWorld. Anyone remember eWorld? Holy smokes, okay. AOL and dudes with really baggy red sweaters surfing on keyboards. That is my jam. And so this is kind of what shaped me as a kid. And this is me. I was also, and still am to this day, a giant nerd. And I just love technology, and I love being into like all this new upcoming stuff. Back then, I was importing like video game music CDs from Japan because MP3s weren't a thing. And my friends were listening to Pearl Jam. I'm like, listen to this Parappa the Rapper soundtrack. And they're like, what are you, it was kind of weird. So anyway, long story short, my nerd skills kind of paid off at one point. I managed to get like a really decent job at United Grain Growers. I was like an IT guy there. And there they had like a little farm business communications publishing division. We did magazines for farmers, if you can believe that's a thing. In any case, so yeah, what happened one day is someone did like the schema dream where they get like someone to come in and like read you a silly telegram kind of thing. This guy came in like half cooked, like dressed as Darth Vader and read me a poem. And it was incredibly, incredibly embarrassing. But I have no other pictures from this job because, we had potatoes back then to take pictures, right? So the other thing about me is I had this giant mass of hair. So my nickname was Fro for like the first 20 years of my life because I had this giant hair. And, because I was like such a nerdy kid and nerd culture wasn't exactly what it is today, I was picked on a lot. I was teased, made fun of. It wasn't always the happiest time in my life. Like I wouldn't change anything. Like, it was fine. But it's just like there was periods of teenage angst in there, You're like, this is just so annoying. So at one point, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to cut the hair. The hair is just going to go. And honestly, once I did that, everything kind of, there you go. Everything kind of got a lot better. I got a really nice job working at A-Channel when it used to be a thing. And like I got to do motion graphics and computer nerdy stuff, and they paid me money for it. It was incredible. And so then I worked at Frantic Films and did movies for like almost a decade. And that's another whole talk. But anything, things got a lot better. And so fast forward to today. I work with Devolver Digital. They are an indie game publisher out of Austin, Texas, and they make a whole bunch of really awesome indie games. If you're not aware of them, you should check them out. They're awesome. And one of the games that they published about 5 years ago or so is called Dropsy the Clown. And Dropsy the Clown is a point-and-click hug venture where one of the main mechanics in the game is you're this big, scary-looking clown and you hug people. And so the whole game, there's no text in the game. It's all like emoticons and stuff. It's really interesting. So anyway, the guy that made this game, his name is Jay Tholen. And so I'm working with the developer, and I'm making the trailer for Dropsy. And we got along great. So anyway, the game comes out, does well. He starts on his next game called Hypnospace Outlaw. And this is a game that's a parody of the late 90s, early 2000s internet. And so you can kind of see where this is coming together here. So Jay is amazing. And basically what you do in this game is you go into the internet while you sleep and you solve puzzles like you're an enforcer in this game, and you have to find copyrighted stuff on this fake internet and report it and do all these interesting things. It's super crazy. It's like this subgenre of OS simulators that's like a real thing. Anyway, so Jay's making this game, and he puts this thing on Facebook, and he's like, hey, were you like a teenager, in like the late 90s, early 2000s? Do you want to be in my game? And I'm like, oh my God, I have all those embarrassing pictures from when I worked in it. So I sent him all this stuff. And so and then he comes back to me later. He's like, hey, do you have any more pictures? And I'm like, yeah, okay, here's a couple more. He made me a character in the game. And so not only did he make me a character in the game, I didn't know any of this was happening, by the way. He made me like the lead programmer of Hypnospace, which is what the whole game is about. And so what's interesting is he made the character very much like me, like into code. Here's my About Me page on the fake internet. It's like listening to legally acquired music, chocolate ice cream, science fiction, movies, books, mac and cheese, dislikes like black licorice. I hate black licorice. Like, how did he know that? He doesn't know me that well. So the game comes out, and I'm like, oh, this is really, really crazy. This is fun. But then the craziest thing starts happening is people start loving this character Dylan in the game. And they start making fan art of Dylan. But Dylan is me from 20 years ago. And it's just like, it was the craziest feeling. Like, this is like, all this stuff is coming in on Twitter and on the Discord. And like, I'm wearing the baggy sweater from the 90s. It's amazing. And it really made me just like stop and think. It's just like, holy smokes. It's just like, I had sort of disassociated like that first 20 years of my life in a lot of ways, because it wasn't always the happiest time. And now I'm seeing all this, like this one. This is the Bill Gates, like sexy on the computer when he's like 18, and Steve Jobs sitting with the iMac, but with me in it. Like, this is just, it's such a trip. It's crazy. So yeah, like this is just so up my alley. You have no idea what it means to me to like see this happen. So anyway, like what I was saying is like, it really made me kind of like think about that time in my life in a way different light, you know? It's just like, I had a lot of like, a little bit of, I shouldn't say a lot, but a little bit of pain, you know, associated with some of those years. And seeing all these people like generate all this amazing art and love for that character, even though I know it's not me, it really made me feel like that love was happening to me. And so it really, really meant a lot to me. This is my favorite one that somebody made. It's my Twitter avatar right now. And yeah, that's what I got. That's my story about how I became a character in a video game. Thanks.